Hi there, I'm Stacy, the encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. Hi all, good afternoon. This morning I took and gessoed this big 24 by 24 inch panel. Didn't record any of it because, not super exciting, just putting down some white gesso. But I wanted to flip the camera around because I also redid the sketch just onto some tracing paper to change the perspective a little bit. So let me flip the camera around and show you how I did that. And just for a quick reference, this was the original sketch. And here was the sketch I did in the last video. And I think I talked about moving, well, I know I talked about moving these trees down a bit and kind of getting rid of this big block of green area. Not the entire area, but a portion of it. So what I did is I just took a piece of tracing paper, put it over top of here because I liked the overall layout of these trees and how many trees I had in. Just traced over the top of them all, so you can see they pretty much line up. And then I took and drew out a 12 by 12 square just on some plain white mixed media paper. Taped this sketch down to it so I knew where the 12 by 12 area was, or the square was going to be. And then brought all of those trees down farther, drew in some of the roots of those trees because, trying to flip back and forth and not make you too dizzy, I wasn't real happy with how this was looking in here. So bringing those trees down, redoing the roots a bit, and then filling this area in more. And I decided to make the roots of this tree into the hand veins at the end, and most likely get rid of the hand veins coming in from this direction. So this is what's going to transfer onto the big 24 by 24 inch panel now. And hopefully all of that made sense. If it didn't, let me know down there in the comments, drop your questions in. Happy to answer anything, but I just thought tracing paper I've been using a lot lately for these different sketches and for redoing the sketches, and I'm really enjoying that process, so I just wanted to share that with all of you. That, if you're happy with a sketch but just want to tweak it a little bit, sometimes tracing over it with the tracing paper and then being able to tweak it on tracing paper is great. And I'll show you what tracing paper I use too, just in case you're wondering. Here's the tracing paper that I use. It's the Strathmore tracing paper. It is the series 300, and I get it in the 11 by 14 size, and it's obviously not big enough for 12 by 12 clearly, but I just tape the two together and make it work. But it's nice tracing paper. It's not super expensive. You can get it at I actually get mine at Michael's. So sometimes it's on sale, or I can use a coupon, and you can also find it like at the art supply store. So anyways, that's the tracing paper. All right, I have to let that layer dry. Hopefully it won't take too long. I didn't put too much water on it. One of the advantages with encaustic is you don't have to ever let anything dry really. Maybe just cool down slightly, but it's kind of nice to not have to wait in between layers and things like that. At any rate, I'm gonna let that dry. I used some Inktense blocks and Neocolor crayons, and the Inktense blocks are great for laying down like large areas of color because you can turn that block sideways and just really scribble in a lot of color, or rather put a lot of color down all at one time. So I picked up the camera though because I thought I would show you why I like to sketch these sketches in the same ratio as I'm painting the painting. So for example, the first sketch was like an 8x8, then I went up to 12x12, and then on the tracing paper it's 12x12, and this is a 24x24, so it's the same size 1-to-1 ratio. And the nice thing about doing that is this is on that tracing paper, so this is 12x12. So I can take my ruler, if I can get it going the right way here, and hold the camera, and I can measure down. So for example, this horizon line over here is at 6.5 on this scale, this ruler. So I can then take, without making you dizzy, I can take and transfer that over to here. If that's 6.25 rather, I know I need to go down here 12.5 because this is double the size of that sketch. Hopefully that makes some sense. And that is how I transfer most of my sketches over to the big paintings with this handy dandy ruler. Very simple tool, but very nice to have and convenient to have. And like I said, especially if you do the same size ratio size on your sketches to then transfer it to the painting, it's super easy to do. All right, so I'm going to continue on with this underpainting. Gonna put the trees down next, and I probably won't film a whole lot of it. It's not super exciting, but I just thought I would give you that little tip and trick to transfer sketches onto larger paintings. All right, I'm gonna call it for today in the studio. I spent a lot of time on this underpainting, probably more time than I've spent on most underpaintings, but I think it's looking really good, and I just need to stop because I could keep going for hours and hours and hours. And quite frankly, a lot of this might end up just getting completely covered up. So I should stop underpainting. I need to go make dinner, figure out what we're having for dinner first, and then make dinner. And the state of the studio is a huge mess. I have paintings everywhere, which is nice because means that I'm in here painting, but it's just a disaster. And eventually I need to find space someplace other than in the studio for these paintings, probably in the pole barn in our house. We're gonna find out if I can hang any of these. Probably not this video, but maybe some future videos, because I need to get them out of here to make more room for more paintings to be painted. So anyways, that was a long ramble. I'm gonna let you go here for tonight, and I'm hoping to pick you back up tomorrow, hoping to get back in here and at least get several layers of encaustic medium on here, but we're gonna find out. See you soon. Good morning all. I have had an incredibly productive morning. Matt's actually out of town. He's at a conference, and I slept so good last night. Not because Matt's out of town, let me just say that. But it finally cooled off a little bit last night, so I was able to open the windows. We had a big rainstorm, but it just cooled everything off. And then it rained a little throughout the night, and the rain on the camper, it's just a lovely sound to sleep to. Matter of fact, I'll stick a video in here now. So yeah, I've had an incredibly productive morning. I slept great, so I got up very early and did some video editing, got the video for today. It is Tuesday, so happy Tuesday if you're watching this on Tuesday. Got the video uploaded for today. Then I'm actually trying really hard to get back into posting on Instagram, and I'm very hit or miss over there, but it's got a few posts scheduled out for that, so that's good. And I went for a walk since it's also a cool down. It was a beautiful morning to do that. And the rhododendrons are blooming here. So I'm still, while I'm painting these paintings, I'm still trying to get some pictures and more research for the next series coming, which is going to be more on the West Virginia trees. So did some research this morning, some fun research in the form of a walk. So back in the studio now, and I'm going to get going on this large painting again. Going to be putting down several layers of encaustic medium. It is supposed to storm again later today. I'm hoping we're not going to lose power, but we did lose power last week, so we're gonna find out. But I wanted to get over here early to get the wax turned on so that I could get those layers down just in case we do lose power. I also wanted to show you that I picked up a new paintbrush. This is called a poly brush or a staining brush. So I thought I would try it for laying down this encaustic medium. That's specifically why I got this for these big paintings, for laying down a lot of the encaustic medium. So we'll see how it works here. Also, whenever I get a new paintbrush, I kind of just like do this. I don't know if you can see that, but these little tiny bristles on the new brushes tend to kind of come out. So I just kind of pull on it, rough it up a little, you know, just try to make sure a lot of those are out of here before I start painting. Of course, they always come out while I paint, but it's easy to get them out of the painting as well. But just, you know, try to pull them out to get all of the loose ones out. All right, I don't know if I'm completely convinced on this brush. It does hold a ton of wax, a ton of paint. So that is a plus. I think it actually leaves more like little tiny pinholes than just a normal hake brush does. I'll flip the camera around and try to show you these. And I'm not sure why, but I definitely feel like it definitely leaves more little pinholes. However, for this painting, it won't matter because there's going to be a lot of texture on it, which is why I chose to kind of experiment a bit with that brush, because, you know, if it didn't produce a completely smooth surface, it doesn't matter because this painting is going to have so much texture to begin with, or rather in the end. I think you can see these little pinholes. I think the camera's picking them up, but you know, those really won't completely go away. So which is fine, because again, I'm going to be layering more wax over top and it's going to be fine. But I'm not sure why it's doing that more than the hake brush. And the sun is coming in. The only reason I can think of is it almost has like 4 separate layers here, so it's not like completely all smooth, and I think maybe that's why it's adding those pinholes in. So kind of in conclusion, just to wrap this up, I would not recommend running out and buying a brush like a poly brush or a stain brush. I think there's some, well, I definitely know there's more high quality bigger brushes like that from art stores. It was inexpensive, and it was like, I want to say like $13 or something like that. So it was super cheap. So it was worth trying, but I would not run out and purchase one if I were you. So I think I'm probably going to leave you here in the studio today. I have to run over and start editing next week's video so that I feel comfortable with that before hopefully it starts raining. So yeah, I will pick you guys back up later in the week when I start laying color down on this painting, and we'll see how it goes. Back in the studio after a few days being out, and I am ready to put down some blues and some greens, different colors of paint onto this painting. So let's get to painting. And I just wanted to say that I'm finding it really difficult to kind of force myself into the studio these days. It could be the hot summer weather that we're experiencing. It could be that we just have so many things going on outside of the studio. But once I get in here, I'm finding I really get into a groove and paint a lot and don't want to leave. But it's just kind of forcing myself to get into the studio. And so I guess it's good that I have a deadline for these big paintings coming up for this upcoming, hopefully, art fair, art show. So it kind of forces me in. But if any of you are also experiencing a bit of a creative slump, not wanting to get into your creative spaces, I just wanted to say I completely understand, and I'm here with you. So anyways, I'm going to get back to this painting and put on some music perhaps and sit back and enjoy the painting process. Back in the studio again after a few days, and this time I'm going to be putting detail down onto these trees using this encaustic writer. And as I'm sitting here editing this video, I just realized that probably another point that why I'm not picking up the camera and kind of speaking into it as much not only has to do with kind of a creative slump and that we have so much going on that, you know, it's hard to make time to get into the studio, but also the fact that I don't have a whole lot to say or to add to these videos. And I just really want to just get in there and create and, you know, kind of keep going with this creative process. However, I'm hoping that you're still enjoying these videos, even though I don't have any kind of tips and tricks and things like that to add to them, as you've seen me do all of this in previous videos. So I'm feeling a little bit of I don't know if anxiety is the right word. I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I'm just still hoping that you guys are enjoying these videos and that you're going to stick with me on these. I have probably at least 2, maybe 3 more big paintings to get done in this series, and it's going to be really a lot of similar processes. And obviously, if I do have anything to add or tips or tricks that I haven't already mentioned, I'll definitely pick up the camera and tell you guys, but I really do hope you're enjoying them still. Back to the painting. switched the tools around here from the thicker writer to a teeny tiny little writer for this painting. And I'm gonna flip the camera around here and show you kind of the difference in the trees. I do believe this is going to take me several days, if not an entire week to really complete, but let me flip the camera around and I'll show you. All right, I'm not sure if this camera is even picking this up, but this side just has the thick encaustic writer on it. And if I pan over to this side, I think you can kind of start to see the difference in these trees. There's less of, the camera will focus, there we go. There's less like lines. The lines are less defined because they're much smaller and there's a lot more of them, versus this side. You can really see those lines. I think you can tell in the camera. And then if I pan over even farther, these two trees are, I think, pretty much done. So I think you can tell the difference between all of those trees. And while this is extremely tedious and time consuming, I think it really pays off. All of those little tiny details, and it really adds just extra layers, extra texture to the entire painting. And yeah, I think it's worth it. So I just wanted to kind of catch you up on where I'm at with this painting. I also wanted to mention one more thing here, and that is I'm flipping this painting kind of upside down, and if you will, and that's for two reasons. One, it's a little easier to reach the trees rather than bending all the way across the painting. And the second is sometimes it's just nice to have a different perspective. So kind of flip things around, make sure the color looks good in all the places. I have enough white, I have enough of the black, you know, just a little bit different perspective. So just thought I'd throw that out there as an idea for any of you other creative artist types that, you know, sometimes flipping your painting around in several different directions, whether it's a realistic painting or an abstract painting, can kind of just help you get a little bit different perspective on stuff. So anyways, back to painting. After several more hours working on these trees, I think I'm going to call it for today in the studio. I have about half of these smaller trees done. I still have the big main tree to do, but I will pick you guys back up when I finish these trees and probably start the main tree. See you then. Good morning. Back in the studio today, and I got those kind of background trees done on this painting. And I'm switching back over to the larger encaustic writing tool for this bigger tree. So I'll probably just stick you guys up on time-lapse mode and work away on this tree. So yeah, let's get to painting this morning. One more big painting done in the studio, and I just thought I would show you the two reference sketches one more time. I will get you a few close-ups here of this painting, and I think this is where I'm going to call it for this video. Seems like an appropriate place to call it. If you liked coming along, please give the video a thumbs up. It really does help me out. If you're not subscribed, consider doing so. And again, thank you so very much for coming along. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.